Will you pray with me? Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. You may be seated. Usually, when you win the Super Bowl, you go to Disney World. Then again, when you pull an incredible upset against a highly rated team, that team's owner doesn't usually put out a contract on you. Still, it's the Bible, and as you may have noticed, they sometimes do things differently there. Elijah the prophet goes and picks a fight with the king and queen of the country, and then challenges the hundreds of newly imported priests and prophets of their god Baal to a sudden death face-off to see which of these two gods, Baal or Israel's God, really has the goods. Elijah's God comes through like the Lord and Master of the universe he is, while Baal's boys lose game, set, and life, right down to the last false prophet. It's a great day for God, but Jezebel the queen isn't known for good sportsmanship. So before Elijah can run a victory lap, he's running for his life. He goes south, but not for the thrills of a theme park. He hurries not to Disney World, but south of the border of Israel and Judah, to the wilderness where, historically, God has been. And as he goes, Elijah loses perspective. He loses his confidence, and then his hope, and then his will to live. Elijah comes right out and says it. God, I've had enough. Just kill me and get it over with. Of course, he could have said the same thing to Jezebel before he took off and gotten his wish without wearing himself out. But apparently, he only wanted God to do the deadly deed. Elijah won the battle against Baal at Mount Carmel as God's agent, of course. And now he's wandering out in the wilderness, disillusioned and despondent, waiting to die. You know how he feels. The kings and queens of our country have done things in recent days that make us feel like we are the ones who got mauled at Mount Carmel. And then we hear powerful people telling us they're coming for us, Christian churches, if we continue to take God's side against theirs. These are depressing days and dangerous. What's going on around you can break your heart and your spirit. Or perhaps you're dealing with something more personal, some individual or family heartbreak or hazard that you can't see any way to overcome or avoid, and you just want to give up. Deep inside, something screams out, "Enough, Lord! I just can't do it anymore." You've run as fast and as far as you can. You've walked on until you can't do that anymore either. You just want to lie down and close your eyes and have it all be over. And like Elijah, that's what you do. You lie down and you close your eyes and wait for you don't know what, helpless and hurting and hating how you feel. But look what happens to Elijah. Elijah hits bottom, but he doesn't die. He is touched by an angel. He wakes up from his worries and his woes because God sends somebody very special to wake him up. This is what God does. God lets Elijah rest, gives him rest, and then sends someone into Elijah's life to touch him, to change his life, or at least the way he looks at it. God sends an angel to provide something that will strengthen and encourage Elijah. It isn't a lot, really. A little bread and something to drink. But there it is, where it wasn't there before. Or Elijah hadn't noticed it in his depressed state of mind. And it's enough. God provides for Elijah through the angel who wakes Elijah up from his despair and shows him how things are better than he thought they were. And because the angel is there with him while he is sleeping and when he is awakened, Elijah is not alone in his darkest moment because God doesn't want him to be and makes sure that he isn't. Again, this is what God does. Of course, God doesn't snap his divine fingers or the angel his angelic ones and make every problem disappear for Elijah. That's not what God does. Elijah wakes up to the angel's touch and does as the angel tells him. He eats and drinks and goes back to sleep. And while Elijah sleeps, what is the angel doing? He's protecting Elijah. He's guarding him from all the natural and supernatural dangers that would attack him if God did not send his angels to watch over him and minister to him in his need. And then, for Elijah as for us, the process is repeated. The angel touches him again and wakes him up again and tells him again to take the nourishment God has provided for him. And this time, the angel tells Elijah something else, something more. You have to take and eat what the Lord provides for you, because without it, the journey, what lies ahead of you, will be too hard for you. You see, when you think you've come to the end of your rope, it's not the end. When you think, that's it, it isn't. God has more planned for you. But you can't do it on your own. You can't get there under your own steam. You didn't even get where you are now under your own steam. God has been sending angels to wake you up and feed you and encourage you all your life. Sometimes they have been the you can't see them heavenly forever and ever kind. Mostly, I suspect, they're the temporarily deputized and especially spiritually empowered average old earthly kind. Which means that most of us have probably been angels from time to time, without knowing it, sent by God to touch somebody and nourish that somebody a little bit with whatever God gave us for the purpose. It's kind of nice to think of having been somebody's angel sometime, and that you might be somebody's angel again if it suits God's purpose to use you that way. I said, God has more planned. Elijah, for instance, thinks he is on his way to the morgue. He's actually on his way to Mount Sinai for an encounter with God even more amazing than what he and everybody else experienced with God at Mount Carmel. On the holy mountain where God revealed his glory to Moses in smoke and thunder, God will speak to Elijah in the very silence itself. Wherever you are in your life, you are on your way to a personal and powerful encounter with God in a place that he has made holy. But the going often does beat you down and wear you out. Can you make it through what you're going through? Maybe you don't know. So this morning, remember, God provides something that will strengthen and encourage you in our hardest times. It isn't a lot, really. A little bread and something to drink. But there it is. And it will be enough. This is what God does. And this time, God doesn't send an angel to provide it for you. He has sent His only begotten Son, who spent His own difficult days in the desert, hungry, tired, and tempted, before God sent angels to minister to Him. Jesus is the one who says to you today, arise and eat. And He is the one who will nourish you so that you can make it through everything you're going through on this journey to that holy place with God. Arise and eat.